The Tannel science vessel drifted quietly above Earth, its smooth metal shell catching the distant sunlight. Captain Dye watched the blue-green whirl through the wide window of the observation deck. His 4 eyes blinked slowly as he studied the continents and oceans below. "Look at it, Mina," he said to his science officer who stood beside him. "Another peaceful world to welcome into our family." Mina's antennae moved slightly as she reviewed data on her screen. She had been with Captain Da for 15 star cycles, and he valued her careful analysis. "Captain, something is strange about this planet," she said. "I see cities, roads, and what must be farms, but the heat signatures from the life forms are unusual." "Unusual how?" asked Da, turning away from the window. "Their bodies run hot, using energy in ways that seem wasteful, not like efficient plant eaters." Mina's voice held a note of worry. "And their digestive systems, they're short, like those of meat eaters." Captain Dye waved a slender hand, dismissing her concern. "Many species have odd features. The galaxy is full of surprises." The Tannel had visited 83 worlds with intelligent life. On every planet, the smart species had evolved from peaceful herd animals, creatures that lived together and ate plants. The Tannel themselves came from such animals, with their tall, thin bodies, large eyes to watch for danger, and gentle ways. "Perhaps you're right," said Mina, but she kept looking at her readings with concern. "Send down Team 3 for a closer look," ordered Da. "Tell them to stay hidden and just watch. Standard first contact rules." Team 3 took a small shuttle down to Earth's surface during the night. They landed in a forest far from human cities, but near a small settlement. The 5 Tannel scientists set up their hiding spot on a wooded hill where they could watch without being seen. At first light, they saw humans for the first time. "Recording everything," whispered Tech, the team leader, as they watched a human male leave a cabin carrying what looked like a weapon. The Tannel observers stayed perfectly still as the human walked into the forest. None of them had ever seen a creature move quite like this human did. He walked with purpose, scanning the ground and trees constantly, moving quietly despite his solid build. "Look at the muscle structure," said Rin, the biologist. "Built for endurance and power. Not like us." The team followed at a safe distance, their camouflage suits blending perfectly with the forest. They watched as the human stopped, raised his weapon, and fired at a deer. The loud bang made the Tannel jump in fear. "He killed it," gasped Rin. Just like that. The human approached the fallen deer, pulled out a knife, and began to process the body. The Tannel observers felt sick as they watched, but they kept recording. Later, they followed the human back to his cabin. They watched in horror as he prepared the meat, cooked it over fire, and then ate it. "Send everything to the ship," Tech ordered, his voice shaking. "The captain needs to see this now." Back on the ship, Captain Dye and his officers gathered to watch the recordings. No one spoke for several minutes after the video ended. "This changes everything," said Captain Dye finally. "These aren't peaceful plant eaters like us. They're predators." Mina pulled up more data on her screen. Not just any predators. They're apex predators, the top hunters in their environment, and they've built an advanced civilization. "That's impossible," said Lieutenant Jin, the security officer. "Predators don't work together. They compete and fight." "These ones do work together," said Mina. "Look at their cities, their farms. They've built a global civilization while remaining meat eaters." Captain Dye paced the room, his long legs taking him back and forth as he thought. "We've never seen this before. Every intelligent species we've met evolved from herd animals, like us. That's why it's been so easy to bring them into our empire. We understand each other." "What do we do, Captain?" asked Jin. "Should we leave?" "No," said Dai firmly. "We need to learn more. These humans represent something new, something we've never encountered before. Send more teams, but with extra safety measures. I want to know everything about them before we decide our next step." As new teams prepared to descend to Earth, Min approached Captain Da privately. "Captain, I've been thinking about what this means, she said quietly. All our history, we've assumed that intelligence comes from cooperation, from peaceful herd life. We thought predators were too aggressive, too solitary to build civilizations. And now we find these humans, nodded Da. Predators who cooperate, hunters who build. It's more than that, said Mina, her voice dropping even lower. Think about how we've expanded our empire. We arrive, we show our technology, and other species join us willingly. They see our numbers and our ships, and their herd instincts tell them to submit to the larger group. Captain Dai stared at her as understanding dawned. But predators won't react that way. No, said Mina. Predators might see our arrival differently. Not as friends coming to help, but as prey or as competition, finished Da. We need to be very careful with these humans. Very careful indeed. As the new observation teams headed down to Earth, Captain Da looked again at the blue planet. What he had thought would be another simple first contact had become something far more complex and dangerous. The Tannel Empire was about to meet something it had never faced before, a world of intelligent predators. The grand meeting room aboard the Tannel command ship glowed with soft blue light. Admiral Q sat at the head of the curved table, his decorated uniform showing his high rank. Captain Dai stood before him, waiting as the Admiral watched the videos from Earth. Admiral Q turned off the screen with a quick tap of his long finger. Primitive hunting behaviors, he said with a dismissive wave. Nothing to worry about. Captain Day tried to hide his frustration. He had spent 3 days gathering evidence about the humans, and the Admiral was ignoring it all. Admiral, with respect, these humans are different from any species we've met before, Daz said carefully. They hunt in organized groups. They use tools. They cook their food. And they've built cities and technology while keeping these predator traits. Admiral Q's antennae twitched in annoyance. Captain, I've overseen first contact with 12 different worlds. Every species keeps some old behaviors from their past. The Florians still sleep in tree-like structures. The Vens still gather in tight groups when scared. But those species evolved from plant eaters, like us, Dai insisted. Humans evolved from hunters. Their eyes face forward for tracking prey. Their teeth can tear meat. Their bodies are built to chase and kill. The Admiral stood up, towering over Captain Da. And yet they have art, music, and cities. They've moved beyond their savage origins, just as all intelligent life must. I'm not sure they have moved beyond them, Day said quietly. I think those hunting instincts are still very much part of who they are. Admiral Q walked to the large window showing Earth below. All the more reason to demonstrate our superiority quickly, he said firmly. Prepare the diplomatic vessels. We'll show them our power and secure their surrender without bloodshed, as we always do. And if they don't surrender? Day asked. The Admiral turned, his 4 eyes narrowing. They will. They always do. No species can stand against our united fleet. It's simple math, Captain. Now carry out your orders. Captain Da bowed slightly and left the room, his thin shoulders tense with worry. In the corridor, Science Officer Minna waited for him. The Admiral doesn't understand, Dad told her as they walked toward the bridge. He thinks humans will react like herbivores, giving in to the stronger group. But predators don't think that way, Minna said. They see challenges as opportunities to hunt. Day nodded grimly. Exactly. And we're about to challenge them. Far below on Earth, in a hidden military base deep underground, Major Hand stood before a room of elite soldiers. Behind him, secured in a special chamber, was a captured Tannel scout. The alien had been caught when its cloaking device failed during a thunderstorm. This is our visitor, Major Hand said, pointing to the tall, thin creature with 4 large eyes. Their technology is advanced, but their physical structure is fragile. They evolved as prey animals, not predators. And that gives us an advantage they don't expect us to have. Captain G raised her hand. How do we know they're prey animals, sir? Look at those eyes, Han replied. Wide set, good for spotting danger from all sides. Their hearing is extremely sensitive. They startle easily. Their muscles are built for running away, not fighting. Everything about them says, pray to me. Lieutenant Park studied the alien carefully. Their ship technology must be impressive to get here. Yes, Major Han agreed. Their tech is their strength. But we have something they don't. He paused, looking at each soldier in turn. We have the instinct to hunt, the patience to track, the will to fight. For millions of years, humans have been predators. We've been taking down animals bigger and faster than ourselves by working together and outthinking them. He walked closer to the alien chamber, and I believe these visitors have never faced anything like us before. The captured Tannel watched the humans with terror. It understood their language from the translator implant, but couldn't believe what it was hearing. These humans weren't afraid. They were planning, hunting. The Tannel tried again to send a warning to its ship, but the humans had blocked all signals. In space, the Tannel fleet moved into position. 50 ships formed a perfect pattern above Earth's major cities. Admiral Q stood proudly on his command ship. Perfect, he said, looking at the formation. When they see our coordination and technology, they'll understand resistance is pointless. Begin the display. The Tannel ships lit up, creating beautiful patterns of light visible from the ground. This show of technology had worked on 12 other worlds. When a less advanced species saw such power and precision, their instinct was to join the stronger group. Send the message to all their communication devices, ordered Admiral Q. On Earth, phones, computers, and televisions suddenly showed the same image. Admiral Q standing tall and proud. People of Earth, he began, his translator converting his words to all human languages. We are the Tannel Cooperative, bringing peace and advancement to all civilized worlds. Your planet is no. The message cut off as the first missile hit the side of his ship. Alarms blared throughout the fleet. What's happening? Demanded Admiral Q as his ship shook. Weapons fire from the surface, cried a crew member. Multiple launches detected. Outside, human fighter jets rose from hidden bases, moving in attack patterns the Tannel had never seen before. The Earth's military had been preparing since the first alien ship was detected. Admiral Q stared in disbelief as his perfect formation broke apart, ships scattering to avoid the human attacks. This is impossible, he whispered. They should be surrendering. Captain Day rushed onto the bridge. Admiral, we need to pull back and regroup. As chaos erupted across the fleet, the humans pressed their advantage. They had studied the captured scout ship and found weaknesses in Tannel technology. The aliens had never needed strong defenses before. All previous species had surrendered without a fight. In his underground command center, Major Han watched the battle unfold on large screens. They expected us to act like prey, he said to his team. But we're not prey. We're the predators they never saw coming. The Tannel fleet, for the first time in their long history of expansion, retreated in confusion. They had no concept of what awaited them. A species that didn't run from power but challenged it. A species that didn't surrender when outnumbered but found ways to fight back. A species of hunters. The morning sun rose over Earth's cities as the Tannel ships moved into position. 50 massive vessels hovered above New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo, and other major population centers. Their smooth metal surfaces caught the light, creating a stunning display meant to inspire awe. On the bridge of the command ship, Admiral Q adjusted his formal uniform one last time before stepping onto the broadcast platform. He believed deeply in the Tannel mission. For centuries, they had brought less advanced species into their alliance. It always followed the same pattern: show strength, offer friendship, and welcome the new species into the galactic community. No blood needed to be spilled. Begin the broadcast, Admiral Q ordered. Across Earth, all electronic devices suddenly displayed the same image. a tall, thin alien with 4 large eyes and a formal uniform decorated with strange symbols. "People of Earth," Admiral Q's voice boomed from millions of speakers worldwide. "I am Admiral Q of the Tannel Cooperative. We bring the gift of civilization and order. Submit to." The ship suddenly rocked violently, throwing Admiral Q against the wall. Red warning lights flashed as alarms screamed throughout the vessel. "What's happening?" he demanded, pulling himself back to his feet. Lieutenant June's voice shook with fear. "They're attacking. Multiple projectiles approaching all ships. How did they respond so quickly?" On screens around the bridge, the crew watched in shock as human missiles rose from hidden locations. The weapons were primitive by Tannel standards, but there were hundreds of them, launched simultaneously at targets across the Tannel fleet. "Impossible," whispered Admiral Q. "They should be shocked, confused, open to our message. Not organized." Captain Day rushed onto the bridge. "Admiral, the humans were ready for us. They've been preparing since our scout ships arrived." Another explosion rocked the ship as a missile struck one of the engine housings. The beautiful formation of Tannel vessels was breaking apart as ships maneuvered desperately to avoid the human weapons. "Deploy ground forces as planned," Admiral Q ordered, trying to maintain control of the situation. "We can still show our superior technology." Captain Dye wanted to object but knew it would do no good. The Admiral was following the standard first contact protocol, unable to adapt to this unexpected resistance. Around the world, Tannel transport ships descended toward Earth. They carried troops armed with stun weapons and shield generators. No Tannel soldier had fired a lethal shot in over 200 years. Their weapons were designed to subdue, not kill. Their tactics were based on surrounding and overwhelming less advanced species who typically surrendered at the sight of their superior technology. In a forest outside of Seoul, a Tannel ground unit of 20 soldiers exited their transport. Commander Sun surveyed the area, his helmet scanning for human heat signatures. "Remember, no lethal force," he told his troops. "These humans are to be subdued and educated on the benefits of joining our alliance." The soldiers moved forward through the trees, their tall, thin bodies looking almost fragile in their light armor. They had just reached the edge of the forest when the first shots rang out. 3 Tannel soldiers fell immediately, their bodies crumpling to the ground. The others activated their shield generators, the blue energy fields springing up around them. "Where are they shooting from?" cried a young soldier named Yi. Commander Sun scanned frantically but saw nothing. The humans were hiding, concealed in the environment. "Stay in formation," he ordered. "Advance toward that hill." As they moved forward, more shots came from different directions. The Tannel soldiers bunched together instinctively, a prey response to danger that had evolved over millions of years. Then suddenly, humans emerged from camouflaged positions all around them. They'd moved in coordinated patterns, some drawing Tannel fire while others flanked their position. The Tannel had never seen combat like this. The humans weren't just fighting, they were hunting. Similar scenes played out across the globe. Tannel forces, expecting easy submission, instead found themselves facing an enemy that fought with both technology and primal ferocity. Human soldiers moved like predators, using the terrain, working in teams, cutting off escape routes. Back on the command ship, reports flooded in from ground forces. Captain Dai listened with growing horror as commander after commander described the same thing. Humans who fought not like civilized beings, but like hunters. "They're attacking from all sides. They cut off our retreat. They're picking us off one by one. We can't track their movements." Admiral Q paced the bridge, his confidence crumbling. "This isn't right. This isn't how first contact should go. They should see our superior technology and understand that resistance is futile." Captain Dai watched the tactical display showing human forces surrounding Tannel positions. "Admiral, they don't think like us. They don't surrender to superior force. They study it, find its weaknesses, and attack. On the outskirts of London, a Tannel unit found itself trapped in an abandoned building. Commander Todd tried desperately to reorganize his troops as human soldiers closed in. "Form a defensive circle," he ordered. "Shields at maximum power." The Tannel soldiers huddled together, their shield generators creating an overlapping dome of energy. Outside, they could hear the humans moving, communicating in short, quiet sounds. "They won't get through our shields," Commander Tai assured his troops. "Help will come soon." A small object rolled across the floor, stopping in the middle of their formation. Before anyone could react, it exploded in a blinding flash of light and deafening sound. The Tannel, with their sensitive eyes and ears, were completely disoriented. As they stumbled in confusion, human soldiers burst into the room from multiple entrances. Within minutes, the entire Tannel unit had been captured. In New York, Tokyo, and Moscow, the pattern repeated. Human forces used the environment, worked in coordinated teams, and employed tactics the Tannel had never seen before. They didn't just fight, they hunted. On the command ship, Captain Dodd watched the tactical displays with a growing sense of dread. "Admiral, we need to withdraw. The humans are adapting to our tactics faster than we can adapt to theirs." Admiral Q stared at the screens, still struggling to understand what was happening. How can they be defeating us? We've conquered 83 worlds without losing a single ship. "Because those were worlds of herbivores," Captain Daz said quietly. "Species like us, who evolved to run and hide from danger, to survive by avoiding conflict." He pointed to footage from a battle in Brazil, where human soldiers were methodically surrounding a Tannel position. "Look at how they move, Admiral. They're not just fighting us. They're hunting us. This is what they evolved to do." For millions of years, their ancestors tracked prey, learned its habits, and worked together to bring it down. They've applied those same skills to warfare. Admiral Q watched the footage, his 4 eyes wide with a new emotion. Fear. For the first time in Tannel history, they weren't the shepherds bringing order to a chaotic world. They were something else entirely. They were prey. The emergency meeting of the Tannel High Command took place in the secure chamber deep within their home world's capital city. 12 admirals and the supreme leader sat around the circular table, their faces lit by the soft blue glow from the center display. The mood was tense. No one had slept well since the reports from Earth began arriving. "Play the most recent transmission," ordered Supreme Leader Ho, her voice steady despite her fear. The holographic display flickered and showed the tired face of behavioral analyst Suk. His uniform was torn, and one of his 4 eyes was swollen shut. "High Command, this will be my final report from Earth Observation Post 6, Suk began. "The humans have located our position and will breach our defenses within hours." He took a shaky breath before continuing. "My team has studied human combat tactics for the past 7 days. What we've discovered explains our failures. The humans employ deception constantly. They create false targets to draw our fire. They pretend to retreat, then ambush our advancing forces. They set traps. They use psychological warfare, making sounds to frighten our troops." Suk looked directly at the camera, his remaining eyes wide. "These are predator tactics refined over millennia. They don't fight like any species we've encountered before. They fight like hunters." The transmission cut to static. The room remained silent for several long moments. "When will we receive Admiral Q's report?" asked Supreme Leader Ho. "We won't," replied Admiral Ta grimly. "His command ship was boarded 12 hours ago. We received only partial transmissions before losing contact." The room erupted in shocked voices. No Tannel vessel had ever been successfully boarded in their 1,000-year history of space exploration. "Boarded? How is that possible?" demanded Admiral June. "Our defense systems are designed to prevent any unauthorized entry." "The humans used our own shuttle against us," explained Admiral Ta. "They captured one of our ground transports, killed the crew, and used it to approach Admiral Q's vessel. By the time our security forces realized the shuttle wasn't sending the correct identification codes, it was too late. The display changed to show grainy security footage from inside Admiral Q's ship. Human soldiers moved through the corridors with practiced precision. They didn't bunch together as Tannel troops would. Instead, they spread out, covering all angles, moving in coordinated patterns. "Look at how they move," whispered one of the admirals. "Like pack hunters." "They've neutralized 3 of our ships using this method," Admiral Ta continued. "They board, take control of critical systems, and then use our own vessels against the rest of the fleet." Supreme Leader Ho stood up slowly, her tall frame casting a long shadow across the table. "In 1,000 years of expansion, we have never failed to peacefully incorporate a new species into our alliance," she said quietly. "We have never lost a ship. We have never retreated. Until now." She turned to Admiral Ta. "What of Captain Da? His reports warned us about the humans' predatory nature." "Captured, Supreme Leader. His shuttle was shot down 3 days ago while attempting to return to the fleet. In a military base hidden deep in the mountains of Earth, Captain Dai sat in a simple metal chair. His wrists were bound, though not uncomfortably. Across from him sat General Kim, a human female with short gray hair and calm, focused eyes. 2 guards stood by the door, weapons ready but not pointed at the alien prisoner. A translator device sat on the table between them. "I want you to understand something, Captain," General Kim said, her voice neither angry nor friendly. "We didn't want this conflict. Your ships appeared over our cities without warning. Your admiral demanded our submission." Captain Day's antennae lay flat against his head in a posture of submission and fear, an instinctive response he couldn't control. "That is our standard protocol," he explained. "On all previous worlds, species recognized our superior technology and joined our alliance willingly. There has never been resistance." General Kim leaned forward slightly. "You never encountered predator intelligence before, did you?" she asked, studying his reaction. "Never," Dai admitted. "All previous technological species evolved from herd animals, like us. We assumed it was the only path to civilization. Predators were always primitive, solitary, unable to build complex societies." "You were wrong," Kim said simply. "Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We survived by outthinking our prey, by cooperation, by never giving up. Those same traits built our civilization." She stood and walked to a large screen on the wall. It showed footage from human history, ancient hunters working together to bring down large animals, early farmers protecting their fields from threats, warriors developing new weapons and tactics. "Our entire evolutionary history shaped us to be what we are," she continued. "We track. We pursue. We observe weakness and exploit it. We cooperate in groups to achieve what individuals cannot." Captain Da watched the images with fascination and horror. "Your cities, your art, your technology. We thought they proved you had moved beyond your predator origins." General Kim shook her head. "We didn't move beyond them, Captain. We built upon them. Our persistence as hunters became scientific discovery. Our pack coordination became social structures. Our territorial instincts became nations." She returned to her seat. "And when threatened, those ancient instincts still serve us well." Captain Day's mind raced as pieces fell into place. "That's why your response was so quick, so coordinated. You didn't panic when you saw our ships. You hunted us." "Yes," Kim nodded. "From the moment we detected your scout ships, we began preparing. We captured one of your scouts. We studied your technology, found its weaknesses. We set traps and waited." "And your weapons," Daz said, understanding dawning. "They're lethal, designed to kill. Our weapons are meant to subdue, to control. We haven't built weapons of war in centuries." "Because you never needed them," Kim replied. "The species you encountered surrendered without fighting. Their instinct when facing a superior force was to submit, to join the larger herd for protection." She leaned forward again, her predator eyes fixed on Daz. But that's not the human way, Captain. When we're threatened, we don't submit. We fight. We hunt. We win. In the silence that followed, Captain Day realized that the Tannel's 1,000-year expansion had come to an end. They had finally encountered a species they couldn't peacefully absorb into their alliance, a species of hunters who saw the Tannel not as benevolent leaders, but as threats to be eliminated. And for the first time in his life, Captain Dai understood what it truly meant to be prey. The space station hung in orbit above Earth, a neutral ground where both species could meet as equals. Large windows showed the blue planet below and the stars beyond. The room had been designed to make both humans and Tannel comfortable, with furniture suited to both body types. Council Leader Hyun sat at the head of the long table. His thin body was wrapped in flowing blue and gold robes that marked his high position. Around him sat 5 other Tannel officials, their large eyes watching the humans with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Across the table, Ambassador Park led the human delegation. He was an older man with gray hair and calm eyes. 4 other humans sat with him, including General Kim and 2 scientists. "This meeting marks a new chapter in both our histories," began Council Leader Hyun, his translator converting his high-pitched sounds to human language. "1 month ago, we came to your world expecting what we had found on 83 other planets, a species that would join our alliance without conflict." He paused, his 4 eyes blinking slowly. "Instead, we discovered something our civilization had never encountered before. We have updated our galactic records," he announced formally. "Earth is now classified as a predator civilization, the first we have encountered." Ambassador Park nodded respectfully. "We understand your fear. Humans have our own violent history. But the same traits that make us dangerous hunters also make us protective of those under our care." One of the Tannel scientists, Mina, leaned forward. Captain Dai sat beside her, now serving as an advisor rather than a prisoner. "Your history fascinates us," Mina said. "We've been studying it since the conflict ended. Your species hunted in groups for millions of years before building cities or writing books. You tracked prey across vast distances. You used your intelligence to create weapons and strategies. These are the foundations of human civilization," agreed Dr. Lee, one of the human scientists. "Our curiosity, our drive to explore, our determination, they all come from our evolutionary past as hunters." Council Leader Hyun's antennae twitched slightly. "For us, civilization arose from different roots. Our ancestors lived in large herds, eating plants, watching for danger. We survived through numbers and cooperation. Different paths to the same destination," Ambassador Park said. "Both our species built technology, art, music, literature. We just started from different places." Captain Da, who had spent more time with humans than any other Tannel, spoke up. "When we first arrived, we thought humans would react as all other species had, with submission to a stronger group. We didn't understand that predators see strength as a challenge, not a reason to surrender." General Kim smiled slightly. "And we didn't understand that your demands weren't from aggression, but from a genuine belief that joining your alliance was the natural course for any intelligent species." Outside the windows, Earth turned slowly. The damage from the brief but intense conflict was hardly visible from space. 3 Tannel ships had been destroyed, and 2 major human cities had suffered damage from the fighting. The cost had been high, but both sides now sought understanding rather than victory. Mina spread out several images on the table, pictures of human history alongside Tannel development. "Perhaps," she suggested, "our species complement each other. Your strength and our perspective, working together." Ambassador Park studied the images. "We have qualities you lack, and you have strengths we don't possess. The galaxy is vast and likely holds dangers neither of us has encountered. Together, we might face them better than apart." Council Leader Hyun considered this idea. The concept of alliance with predators would have seemed impossible just months ago. Yet these humans, for all their hunting instincts, also showed remarkable restraint. They could have destroyed the entire Tanel fleet after boarding Admiral Q's vessel, but instead they had offered peace. "What do you propose?" he asked. "Not submission to your alliance," Ambassador Park said firmly, "but a new kind of partnership. Equal species with different strengths, working together when it benefits both. Sharing knowledge, technology, and protection." The discussions continued for hours. The Tanel shared stories of peaceful worlds where intelligent herbivores had built complex societies. The humans described Earth's diverse ecosystems where predator and prey existed in balance. As the formal meeting ended, Captain Day approached General Kim privately. "There's something I don't understand," he said. "Your species could have destroyed us. You had the advantage. Why offer peace?" General Kim looked out at Earth turning below them. "Because the best predators understand that killing isn't always the answer. Sometimes protection is more important than dominance. We've learned that lesson through our own bloody history." She turned to face the Tanel captain. "The same instincts that make us dangerous can also make us fierce protectors of those we consider under our care. As you'll discover, humans can be the most dangerous enemies or the most loyal allies. It depends on how you approach us." In the weeks that followed, more meetings took place. Tanel scientists worked with human researchers, each fascinated by the other's perspective. Military leaders from both species shared tactics and strategies, learning from their differences. The galaxy had suddenly become a more complex place. The Tanel had to reconsider every assumption about intelligent life. Humans had to adjust to the idea that they were unusual among the stars, predators in a galaxy mostly populated by peaceful herbivores. As the new alliance took shape, both species found themselves changed by the encounter. The Tanel became more adaptable, less rigid in their thinking. Humans found that their protective instincts extended to these gentle beings who had never evolved to fight. And far away, in the depths of space, other civilizations waited to be discovered, some perhaps even more different than either humans or Tanel could imagine. The universe had revealed itself to be far stranger and more diverse than either species had believed. Predator and prey, hunter and herd, working together as the first step toward a new understanding of what civilization could become. The end.